Hey there, this is JFC, and we are back with more Sword of Convallaria, playing a Spiral of Destiny's playthrough for the Union section. So, again, thanks for watching, thanks for showing up and hanging out. Any amount of time is appreciated when you guys are coming in here, taking a look at what I'm doing. Alright, last time we kind of went through the beginning of Spirals, we picked what we picked. If you want to check out the original video, you can see how I picked it, what I went through. And I definitely do a lot of yapping, but the first couple of videos here are going to be explaining a lot of my thought process and how I'm attempting to do this. So last time we left off, we went over Haven, we went over the leader's office, and we kind of stopped from there. On this main screen, you're going to have different conversations that you need to do. The important ones are going to be at the bottom right here. Typically, on controller, I can hit right stick because I'm playing on a PS4 controller, and that will take me to the most important thing. So example, if I want to get this done, it says go to the training ground, it will go right to it for me, and you can see the conversation. A lot of these I'm probably going to skip through because I don't need to see those things. One thing to keep in mind, sometimes those conversations are important because the person's going to give me a quest. Gloria gave me a quest to do, so you want to talk to her. Beryl gave me a quest, so you want to make sure you're talking and having these conversations with people. I just clear all the conversations that I play through. This is the material merchant, so we went through the augment slot. We went through the slots before that you get the little currency to buy and open different things in the grid. So this is the merchant that appears because of that, and that merchant is going to give you legendary chest facility upgrade. That's why it's important to unlock all those grids, because a lot of this stuff is really helpful for completing your emblems. There's an additional forging slot. There's a training slot. Research tasks. So if you're doing stuff for Beryl and you want to get her to level 6, as an example, as one of the emblems, for having her research level at 6, Efficiency Master might be good there. If you are doing a lot of training, as an example, you need to keep your units levels up to maximize the difficulty of the maps that you see. That's my assumption anyway. You might want more slots. In this case, we know that we're going to be forging, so I'm probably going to put an additional forging slot. That makes forging things 100 times easier when you have an additional slot to do every week. So, looking through the rest of this, sometimes there are dots and merchants in each of these sections. When a merchant pops up, we'll explain that. I'm not going to get into it until I see it. So, Town Square is a hub where you can go into various things. So here's Beryl's Workshop as an example. Sometimes there are merchants littered throughout, so it's always good to check to see where they are. Sometimes you might see the merchant symbol. There might be multiple merchants in an area, so it's good for you to check that whole area to make sure that there's not 2 or 3. Sometimes you're stuck not being able to sell items, and you're down on gold, so that's really difficult for you. Sometimes merchants are nestled and hidden in here. So, okay, so we did the Town Square, Training Ground, Haven. Occasionally, Beryl will show up here to sell things. She sells treasures. If you want to participate in that and do that, you can. I've opened all of her treasure chests at this point, and I really don't think that anything that she was providing me was valuable because it's a random luck of the draw. The highest level one is going to be your best bet, but it's very expensive. That's up to you if you want to take it or not. So, alright. So you can see we have a new event battle. We talked to Gloria. She gave us an event battle, so we'll look at that in the leader's office eventually. Let's talk about the tavern. We can do the training ground or the tavern. Let's do the training ground first. Training ground, this is where you're going to increase the level of your units that you're not taking on fights. You can also teach people skills. So one thing that I do when I go through here is I look to see what they gave me. So at the end of turn, grants movement 2 to random allies. We have some people that are buffing other people. We have some people that do damage. I want to do my damage first, right? So let's go ahead and put this person on for increasing crit. We know that we want Tristan and we want Raria to do damage, so we're going to give them the extra crit. Because they come with loaded skills already, you really don't have to put them through special trainings for anything. Those trainings are not going to matter until you get legendary skills later. And even then, if you want to switch them out, you can, but most of these guys have come fully loaded, which come from your main account. So it makes things much easier. That training time will go for 1 week. Again, don't record the trainings until they're done, but this will count towards the overall 30 trainings in a specific cycle. So eventually, when we get done teaching all of them skills, using up our gold, we will just do XP trainings until the XP training part's done, and we feel like our account is at the level, the mercenary level is with the level we need it to be. Let's talk about the tavern. The tavern's where you're going to recruit people. Sometimes there's going to be people selling stuff here. Most of the time, the merchants in here do not have a stock of gold, so you can't sell things to them, but there's a person that appears that provides resources. I always buy from him, because any extra resources that you can get in a foraging playthrough is really important. But you want to check that recruit tab, especially if you're doing, let's say, the Palpal playthrough, and you want to get 15 Palpal members. Want to look here? Oh, no Palpal members. It shows you the number of weeks it's going to refresh in, and that's helpful because you want to reduce this if you're trying to get the 15 recruited Palpal members. One thing I did not test, and I will probably test in my next Palpal playthrough, is I think what it does is it counts the number of units for that type that are listed here. So as you acquire units for the Union, as an example, it will list all those units here as a total number of. I think right now, to be honest, this would count as 4 out of 15 if I was going for the unit run. But I don't know that because I haven't tested it. So I always do it from who I've recruited. So I will count the 2 randoms, like Jaime and Jessica. I would count as 2 towards the 15 for Union. And that's been pretty good on calculation because I've kept track. Right next to the side, as an example, Palpal States. I got to 13 the last time. At least that's what my thought process was. So that's how you can keep track of the total people you've recruited of that type. At least that's how I do it. Sometimes you will get unlucky with the recruiting. It just happens, you'll have to wait to go back into it and get keys. So I've had to play Palpal 3 times and I still, like I said, haven't gotten that. And the barrel treasure hunting thing is a great example. This is the first time out of the 17 runs that I've done where it's procced. And I can finally get the luck sight for that. So we talked about the tavern. Tavern, you'll have a lot of conversations too. There'll be a lot of cutscenes. The forge. Since we're doing equipment forging, we need to make sure that something is running every week. You really should make sure that something is running in here every single week. Waiting for the game real quick. Let's pause. Okay. Sometimes the game has some problems connecting. I'll ask you to reconnect and whatnot, so I may pause periodically for that if I don't end up in the same spot. I'm sorry for that. I hope it doesn't happen all that often. Sometimes you go in and out and it does that. We talked about forging. That's where we were. So in forging, you get blueprints, you get regular gear. For us, we can see it takes 3 weeks for forging those, and it takes probably less for blueprints. So you want to do blueprints in this case because that's what the roguelike gave you. Sometimes you'll get rare gear minus weeks. That's what you do. And if you run out of metal, you process it. Always make sure that these slots are filled every time, even if it's processing metal. If you do process metal, you get to week 1 left, and then you get a blueprint, and you want to do the blueprinting. You can cancel the metal, and you will get your gold back for doing that. So we're going to start forging blueprints. Because we want to start that up. And again, do not put the stuff down until after the task is completed. So we got 2 weeks on those. And again, sometimes there'll be merchants here. There are not any currently. Alright, let's talk about the Luck Sight Workshop. This is Beryl. You will unlock this as you go through. We're on week 20. So, when you touch this, you will get 3 random tactics that you can use. These are my recommendations. If you get Thunderstruck, take it. Level it the whole way up. It makes your playthrough way easier because you can do 1500 damage plus a % of HP once you've leveled it up entirely. It makes it very easy to kill enemies. It makes it very easy to correct mistakes that you make, or if the computer is being silly, sometimes you can kind of just eliminate them. It also makes your untouchable the 10 no damage taken on maps, much easier if you get Thunderstruck. The last 5 playthroughs I've had, it has not given me Thunderstruck any of the 3 sets of times that it's presented me tactics. So that just happens. You kind of have to come up with something in the meantime. There's also the 30 no units lost. That also makes that much easier because you can kill things that might kill you. If you do not get Thunderstruck, I would try to get the teleportation one. And I would probably try to get Warhorn. Teleportation and Warhorn are very easy because you use both on the boss and just kill the boss because you can teleport behind the boss in most of the maps. Oh. Okay. So let's take a look at what we get. Will the game be nice to us today? Thunderstruck. Fantastic. Urgent Order is another good one. If for some reason you don't get the teleport, or you don't get Thunderstruck, you can take Urgent Order. Urgent Order will also help you on maps. I also kind of like the bear trap sometimes. There's a character that you get in the Valder playthrough, Potty Ninny. She comes with the bear trap one too. Sometimes I'll just use her because having the bear trap thing is very nice. We're going to select Thunderstruck. And again, I got very lucky. Sometimes you don't get it at all. And now what you want to do is you want to level up Barrel's Research. I've already done the emblem for Barrel's Research reaching level 6. You only have to do it one time. But you can do it on the playthroughs if you want. So there's also an emblem for doing 20 barrel quests every single playthrough. These are your quests, and yes, these down here count towards the overall quests. So during battles, Barrel will give you something that you can use. In this case, it's Strength Potion. She wants it used 2 times. Make sure you're doing these every time, because it's going to give you free. It's going to give you free dust to level up. And you need that to unlock each one of these. The other thing I do right away is I usually just sink all my stamina into this if you can. Even on your main units, because you don't have a lot of people to rest. So I'll just use them all. Normally, these aren't going to consume all of your stamina. Sometimes they're at 90% or 100. It depends. A lot of people will tell you not to do these because they're not worth it. Sometimes it's just randomly going to give you 1,000. One time I had it give me 2,500 for something that was the same as the quest right under it. It's just random. I don't know why it does that. I don't know what the rhyme or reason is for it. It seems like the harder ones are the ones that take longer weeks, might give you more. But honestly, these are all the same. And I'll show you that right now, so I can prove it to you. So let's do the Breaker character one, right? We're going to use Homa. 30% stamina for this. Let's see how much we get. That gave us 150. Let's use the exact same quest. Same person, same stamina count. 150. Okay, that looks pretty good. This one has 60% stamina consumed. We use Mytha, because she's our defender. Oh, and she's not 17. So, never mind. Can't do it right now. But Mytha will level up on the next map, so we can complete that one. And we need to use 2 strength potions. So we got 300 Luxite. We can go ahead and unlock Thunderstruck. And we can actually level it up 1. Again, you want to sink it all into Thunderstruck. And if you hit it, another secret here is if you hit it, sometimes it's going to tell you you don't have enough resources, or it's going to tell you your research level isn't high enough. Research levels, that's how you can tell the difference between which ones you need to level up. Here, initial TP is always the one that I like to increase, because you want to use the abilities right away in the tactics screen. Don't feel like you shouldn't be using them or it's cheating. That's when I started, I kind of completely ignored tactics, because I thought, I feel like this is cheating and this is extra stuff, and I didn't do roll backing to go back to initial decisions, and then stuff started to get hard, and I was like, yeah, I kind of need to start doing this. Makes things easier. And it's more enjoyable, to be honest, than I thought it would be using those tools, because I played Final Fantasy Tactics originally, and you don't get those things. Okay, we've talked about pretty much everything on the map, minus Sanctuary. I'm going to be honest with you, I ignore this most of the time. I'll just do what it says. I barely level anything up. The only time I ever touched this on non-Papal States run is I leveled this up 1 time. I never touched it again, because the blessings are good, they are helpful, but I don't really care about them most of the time. Pick random 3. Scores for infection doesn't make sense. If you have Momo, this is very good. Most of these battles I'm not going to be hit. So I don't want to be hit, so the attack and defense makes most sense. Sometimes you'll get an extra blessing. With the blessing that you got on here, again, I just do it when it's available, and that's pretty much it. There's no emblems involved with the Sanctuary or blessings, which I think is a misstep, because in the Palpal playthrough, it gives you 1,000,000 relics that you can level up and sink things into, but then there's no emblem attached to it, which doesn't make any sense to me. But maybe there's something hidden or I don't know about. If you want to put that in the comments, you're more than welcome to. Alright, we've talked about literally everything. At this point, we start looking at the bottom right to see what we have to go accomplish. It will not remind you about barrel stuff. It will not remind you about some of the discussions that aren't super important towards moving the story forward. So make sure you're checking all those, but you can see everything's pretty clean. We got a good bill of health here in our little town. Sometimes things will be on the hill of Convallaria. You just go to have those conversations with those people because you never know if they're going to give you a quest or not. So let's go ahead and go to the event battle. If you want to ignore these, you can go down here and hit ignore. Mine's the right stick if I press it in. You can see I ignored it down there. Do not just spam ignore things, because sometimes you will skip weeks by accident. Mine's my triangle button. I have actually pressed that by accident before, and I've not gotten Radiant because I didn't do a mission. So just be careful. So we got combat drills with Gloria. This one does not count towards your overall quest for the week. Any of the extra quests on this page event battles do not count towards your quests. So again, I like to prove what I'm saying and what I've observed as I've played through things. We have a score of 200. We're going to put that on our sheet.